The Chicago area has a diverse folklore regarding its Italian heritage and a significant amount of supposedly haunted cemeteries. There was a particular paranormal event that allegedly occurred at the Mount Carmel Cemetery in Hillside, Illinois, that has become part of Chicago's rich folklore. This is the story of the Italian bride. Let's get spooky. Hey, spooky people, it's your best friend Kenny here, and we are back with a spooky, disturbing story, a spooky, disturbing Chicago story. Or before we get going on the video, please make sure that you are subscribed to this channel, The Spooky Lawyer. Please make sure that you like and share this video. Share this video with your Pilates class or your spin class. Maybe you could put it up on the, if there's a TV that you guys are working out to, maybe you could put it out on the TV and you guys could work out and get spooky, huh? What do you think? Anyway, this is the story of the Italian bride. The Mount Carmel Cemetery in Hillside, Illinois, is the burial place for notorious mobsters, bishops, and other famous Chicago people. But among the grand mausoleums and weathered headstones, one grave stands out, attracting visitors with its unusual story and the spooky monument. The grave of Julia Buccola Petta, known as the Italian bride. Julia Buccola Petta was born in Italy on June 6, 1891. After the passing of her father George in 1913, Julia and her mother, Filomena, emigrated to the United States to join her siblings, Henry, Joseph, and Rosalia, who were already living on the west side of Chicago. In June 1920, Julia married Matthew Petta at the Holy Rosary Church. Sadly, she died during childbirth at the young age of 29 on March 17, 1921. Following Italian tradition, where women who die during childbirth are considered martyrs, Julia was buried in her wedding dress, clutching her deceased infant son, Filippo, in her hands. Both were laid to rest in a single coffin at Mount Carmel Cemetery. Julia's mother, Filomena, began experiencing vivid nightmares of her daughter. In these dreams, Julia pleaded with her mother to have her body exhumed. After 5 years of these dreams, Filomena finally convinced Julia's brothers to have the grave opened. What they found when they opened the grave and opened the coffin shocked everyone. Despite being buried for 5 years, Julia's body was remarkably well preserved. Her skin was still soft, her hair and nails appeared to have grown, and she seemed to be peacefully sleeping rather than decomposing. A photograph taken of Julia in her coffin at the time shows her seemingly undisturbed by the passage of time. This photo, along with a reproduction of her wedding photo, is displayed on her monument as proof of this occurrence. It was commissioned by her brother Henry, and the monument features a life-size statue of Julia in her wedding dress, and includes an inscription in Italian stating that the photo was taken years after her death. The monument also bears 2 poignant messages from Filomena, expressing her profound grief and enduring love for her daughter. One message reads, Filomena Buccola, remembrance of my beloved daughter, Julia, aged 29 years, while the other, inscribed in Italian on the back, translates to, because you were so very young and had to die, God called you to heaven to be an angel. The discovery of Julia's seemingly undecomposed body caused a sensation, quickly spreading throughout Chicago and beyond. People flocked to Mount Carmel Cemetery to see the Italian bride and leave offerings. Some believed she was a saint, while others saw her as a testament to undying maternal love. The act of leaving offerings at grave sites is deeply rooted in various cultures and religious beliefs, often symbolizing respect for the deceased and a desire to maintain a connection with them. In Julia's case, the offerings left at her grave may reflect a belief in her saintly status and a hope for her intercession into the afterlife. Over the years, Julia's story has become intertwined with Chicago lore. and some claim that her ghost can be seen wandering the cemetery, still searching for her lost child, while others report feeling a sense of peace and comfort while visiting her grave. Now, skeptics point to a scientific explanation for Julia's preserved state, saying the cool, dry conditions within the tomb, combined with the use of an airtight coffin, may have significantly slowed the decomposition process. These conditions could create an environment that inhibits the growth of bacteria and other microorganisms that contribute to decay, leading to a state of preservation that might appear unusual or paranormal. There isn't much concrete evidence that Julia was actually exhumed from her grave other than the photograph of Julia in her coffin on her elaborate marker. The inscription beneath the photograph translates to "taken 6 years after her death." However, some sources cast doubt on the accuracy of this story. Adam Seltzer, who is the author of the book Ghosts of Chicago, mentioned in an article about the Italian bride that no primary sources or official records regarding the exhumation have been found. The cemetery office reportedly has no records beyond the initial burial date, and the story of Julia's preservation didn't appear in newspapers until much later. The discrepancy between the sources and the later widespread popularity of the story raises questions about the origin and accuracy of its narrative. It's possible the story was passed down through oral tradition within the Italian-American community in Chicago before gaining wider attention through publications and media. Filomena died in 1945 in Los Angeles. She's buried in Chicago. Her space is unmarked, but only a few feet away from the massive monument for her daughter that also bears her full name. Matthew Petta, Julia's husband, died in 1945 as well, a few months before Filomena's death. He remarried at some point in the 1920s and had a son whom he gave the same name as his first stillborn child from Julia. Regardless of the explanation, the story of the Italian bride is a captivating blend of fact and folklore. While the mystery of her well-preserved body may have a scientific explanation, the emotional impact of the story and the enduring fascination with her grave remain strong. Julia Buccola Petta's story serves as a poignant reminder of the fragility of life and the power of love. Her tale is steeped in the cultural beliefs and anxieties surrounding childbirth in the early 20th century. It reflects the human need to grapple with mortality and find meaning in the face of death. The Italian bride's story continues to resonate with visitors to the Mount Carmel Cemetery, drawing them to her unique monument and inviting them to contemplate the mysteries of life and the afterlife. Make sure you are subscribed to this channel, The Spooky Lawyer. Go ahead and follow me on Blue Sky. My username is akbruce. Go ahead and follow me on Twitter. My username there is akbruce. If there is a spooky or disturbing story you would like me to cover and do a video on, send me an email. My email address is thespookylawyer@gmail.com. I appreciate you watching my video. I appreciate your support. Please stay spooky.